Good afternoon, everyone. Today I wanted to talk to you about global mental health because it's a very big issue. If we can cue this up. It's not switching over. Well, more than 2 billion people worldwide are suffering from a brain-related illness. And these conditions include anxiety, depression, or more complex diseases like Alzheimer's. Oh, no, it's not going to happen for me. Like Alzheimer's, Parkinson's disease, epilepsy, autism. They also include brain injury from stroke or trauma, and learning difficulties such as ADD or ADHD, as well as cognitive functional disorders that can result from diseases such as malaria or measles, or treatment from HIV drugs. These neurological impairments represent an economic burden of more than $2 trillion. So imagine this, 2 billion of the world's population. That means that it can affect anyone across all ages, gender, demographic, and social economic groups. This means that solution would need to be somewhat affordable for most of the world's population. And this means that the solution needs to rely on innovative new technology to enable inexpensive measurement of functional brain data. So what do we know about the brain? We know that generally accepted that the structure or topology of neural networks is a key factor in determining brain function. Autism, schizophrenia, and epilepsy have all been labeled connectivity disorders. All of these disorders have a developmental component, meaning that they typically emerge at specific developmental stages and are thought to result from inappropriate development of neural network structure on some scales in some regions. So more specifically, it could include overdense arborization of local neurons, or lack of long-range connectivity, or something in between. So the issue then is, how do we easily measure the brain's connectivity structure, easily as well as non-invasively? This is our first challenge. We also know that network structure and the time series produced by the network in the form of electrical signals from neural spiking are actually related. Recent advances in the physics of scale-free, fractal, and complex networks, which are all synonymous terms, demonstrate that fractal networks will produce a time series or electrical signals that carry information about the network. This information is hidden in the nonlinear characteristics of the signals. And this means that if you use linear methods, you're actually going to overlook some of these complex properties. And linear analysis methods that are quite common are Fourier decomposition or principal component analysis, and those will often miss those properties. But if you compute nonlinear features from EEG signals, there's a good chance that you can find information about the brain's network structure that can be used to discern some of these abnormalities. If the abnormalities are distinctly related to this mental disorder, then they may serve as biomarkers for those disorders. And this is our second challenge. I'll give you a simple example. Autism spectrum disorder, for example, is thought to result from improper formation of cross-regional connections and hyperformation of local connections. The condition develops over the first 5 years of life, and it's thought to be possible to detect unusual features in network development before the age of 2, while it's still possible to intervene. We believe that using nonlinear methods will yield a lot more information than linear methods in order to find scale-invariant structures in this sort of problem. With degenerative conditions like Alzheimer's or Parkinson's disease, early intervention can allow us to potentially slow the condition or may even help to reverse some of the damage. Longitudinal monitoring can also help us to assess treatment efficacy, disease progression, and help to plan future management. Why is finding early biomarkers for mental and neurological conditions so important? Well, it's because it opens up the potential for non-drug-based therapies and treatments. In the last decade or so, scientists have discovered that our brain is not hardwired. It can reinvent itself by creating new pathways to reroute, readjust, and otherwise change the networking and connections. So if found early enough, our brain's plasticity means that we can undertake exercises or other activities to improve the prognosis for some of these conditions. Scientists have also discovered epigenetics, where our actions, our thoughts, our feelings, and also environment can actually change how our genes are expressed, making real chemical changes that alter brain function, character traits, and risk of some diseases like cancers to schizophrenia. The other benefit of ongoing monitoring is that we can get a much better idea as to how our treatments are performing, and also improve the way in which we understand the treatment of other therapies, so not just non-drug-based, but also drug-based therapies. These are some of the this is one of the most popular forms of neuroimaging today, fMRI or MRI. These machines weigh 12,000 tons, costs around $2.5 million, and they use a very powerful superconducting electromagnet that's about 50,000 times the strength of the Earth's magnetic field. So as you can imagine, if you have any metal objects, it has to be removed. Anyone with a metal implant or a pacemaker is excluded. The rooms are actually heavily fortified and soundproof, but it still makes a very loud, constant, rapid hammering. What you do is the patient slides into this long, narrow, cylindrical magnet, and you have to remain absolutely still, so the head is usually restrained. A scan will typically take anywhere from 15 minutes to an hour or more, and the image shows both surface and deep brain structures with a very high degree of anatomical detail. And it's also able to detect minute changes in the structures, but it's averaged over several seconds, so we can see the overall network activations without any real information about the dynamics. And I think it's worth pointing out that when you hear popular accounts of people having their brain scanned while shopping, for example, they're not actually walking through a store with headgear on. They're actually lying in this cylindrical magnet with their head held firmly in place while they're flashed images, asked to make decisions, and experience emotions. Oops. Even with electroencephalography or EEG, these systems can be very cumbersome and cost prohibitive as well. Something like this would cost more than $20,000, requires a technician to fit, someone who's an expert in using these systems. It doesn't tolerate very much movement at all, so the patient is strapped to the recording system with a heavy, thick cable. The technician will place the electrodes onto the scalp using a conductive gel or paste, generally after a procedure of preparing the scalp by shaving or light abrasion. And it's not uncommon for a diagnosis of epilepsy for a patient to be tied to a hospital bed for a week or more, unable to shower and with very limited mobility. So what if it was possible for EEG to be more affordable, less obtrusive than what you see here, could be fitted by the users themselves, transmitted digital data wirelessly, and could allow the person to still move around rather than having to stay still for hours at a time? Well, what I love most about brain research these days is that it's moved beyond psychology, psychiatry, and neurology, and is merged with other disciplines like engineering, electronics, computer science, statistical analysis and information technology to allow better, smaller, faster, and smarter systems to emerge. The system you see here is a high-resolution, multi-channel EEG acquisition system. It doesn't require any specialist knowledge from the user, no skin preparation, no conductive gel or paste. It's wireless, so it gives you the freedom to actually move around. And when you compare it with conventional EEG systems like the one I showed you before, it's around 100 times more affordable. The pattern of nonlinear signal features that is distributed throughout the brain and can be measured by an array of scalp electrodes is likely to be too complex or too subtle for human eyes to see. We can use machine learning algorithms, however, to search for patterns in nonlinear features. These patterns can be subtle and easily overwhelmed by stronger individual differences like mental age and development, IQ, special abilities, and so on. Nonlinear features, therefore, are far more robust and can actually reveal some of these hidden information that's buried in linear analysis and visual inspection. I think one of the most exciting things is that a perfect storm can actually happen when you marry a couple of disciplines, so nonlinear methods with supervised learning, as well as super large databases. This is obviously the age of cloud computing and data mining from large data sets. So given sufficient data, data mining algorithms can find statistically significant subtle features in the data sets. But collecting large amounts of mental health data will require connected databases and a relatively easy and inexpensive way to collect brain electrophysiology. And this is where I think innovations in EEG hardware is so important, because it actually opens up the potential to gather very large amounts of information and data to allow algorithms to search for nonlinear features that are highly correlated with network properties of mental disorders. We believe that there is a very important role in democratizing brain imaging. By making brain measurement and observation easier and at higher resolutions, and offering a platform for more affordable and open participation, there's now the opportunity to mobilize the world's population to actually contribute and collaborate on large global projects. These headsets now have a footprint in more than 90 countries worldwide, allowing us to rapidly accumulate data on the precise characteristics and the dynamics of the constituent parts and systems of the brain. A connected database can allow us to catalog our exponentially growing knowledge of the brain. We believe there's now significant opportunity to rapidly expand the capacity for brain research, and really at a pace and scale that's never been possible before. Two very important democratizing technologies is the internet and the mobile phone. Amazingly, the proliferation of mobile phones in even the most disadvantaged parts of the world can be turned to unexpected uses. Wireless access, we believe, is going to be a particular boon to developing countries where many people don't have access by wire or cable, but they do actually have it wirelessly. So I'm going to now invite someone to just step up stage. I promise I'm not going to put a huge electromagnet on your head. I won't be shaving your head or putting any gel on it. Yes, please. So what we're going to do here is we're going to put the headset on. It's very simple. You just slide it on your head like so. And you want to kind of like have it over your ears. Hang on. Like this. Over your ears. Very good. And what I want you to do is just move closer, because we've got a lot of wireless interference, unfortunately.
IQ test,
no IQ test. We've just turned around here just a minute to try and reconnect the wireless, because we are having a lot of wireless interference. Okay. I think you can see what's going on here. So if you can just keep turning. Yeah, wireless is a real big problem. Let's see if we can try and get. So what you can see here is I can put the headset on. And sorry, what's your name?
Lisa.
Lisa? Okay.
Yes.
And what you're seeing now is basically a live feed of the electrical activity from Lisa's brain. And
It's a lot going on, right?
yeah, there's things going on. And basically, this is how quick it takes to do that. And what's really exciting is that we can...
Yeah. Should I turn around?
Sure, turn around. What we also wanted to show, and I'm not sure if it's working, is we're sending the data into the cloud, and then anyone, any medical practitioner, your physician, or a medical researcher can get this data on their device. It could be on their PC, it could be on their tablet, and they're able to do a lot more research about it. And just, we had talked about mobile phones and portable technology. I just wanted to very quickly show you how a mobile device, this is a completely portable brain scanner. And what I'll do here is I'll just pair this up with this. And we'll show here is a fully portable brain scanner where you can actually just walk around. EEG data can now be collected anywhere in the world, sent over the wireless network to a central server, and then be accessed. So we believe this is going to be a really amazing way that will transform brain research. Let me see if we... Hang on. Sorry, let me just close this down and load this up again. If you want to stand over here, I guess you can now. So I've got a feed from my phone, and you'll be able to see that. And it's basically going to load up an image, a 3D image. And this is basically one way you can provide data visualization of what's going on in the brain to localize the activity there. And if you can just...
Yeah, what should I do?
There. So just... OK, there. No, I'll hold it. So what you can see here is as Lisa's turning her head, the brain can start to spin around, and you're seeing the activations in different localized area of Lisa's brain. So this is fully portable, and so you can imagine if we're not plugged into this system here, she could potentially be walking around the conference and collecting a lot of brain data. It gets streamed to the cloud, and then researchers can basically access it anywhere in the world. So thank you so much, Lisa. Appreciate it for jumping up. OK, well, I'm going to close there to, I think we're running out of time. So thank you so much.